Glad to have you back now. This is Business Breakfast coming to you live from us this year. Let's head straight to the capital market now. Look at the performance of the equities market at the close of last week. The NGX All Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 4.25% to close the week at 53,098.46 basis point, and while the market capitalization hit 28.62 trillion naira at the close of last week. Similarly, all other indices finished higher with the exception of insurance and the NGX sovereign bond, which depreciated by 1.92% and 0.02% for you, while a total turnover of 1.81 billion units of shares worth about 27.19 billion naira in about 36,000 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange, in contrast to a total of 1.59 billion units of shares that exchange hands the previous week. If you look at the financial services industry, which led the activity chart with about 904.86 million units of shares and valued at 8.49 billion naira, traded in about 12,000 deals, contributing about 49.82% and 31.25% to the total equity turnover. Yeah, these are the numbers, but let's look at what makes this number attractive, or what drove this number higher last week against the previous week. That's what we'll look at the market this morning. Mr. Ambrose Amodian, Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited, is here with me now in the studio to look at last week and, of course, the outlook for the market this week. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ambrose.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, so give us your, give us your view or what you think drove the market last week. Last week was impressive than what was recorded the previous week.
Also don't forget that last week was a full 5 trading days, while the previous was just 3 trading days because of the holiday. Have a May Day and the Muslim holiday. But now you can see that it was a full trading day, and we saw high cap stocks appreciating in value. That also impacted the All-Share Index, also creating value for investors in terms of capital, market cap crossing almost 28 trillion mark. It's a good one for the market. It tells that those high cap that are still put in the market are still very strong. And ask yourself, why are these stocks going up now? Don't forget that the earnings that are coming from this company are also impressive. Like always say that price of equity feed on earnings. If these earnings are positive, prices are bound to go up. I also expect that today to see the inflation rate for the month of April. These are the factors driving the market. Every investor in the market want to balance their portfolio to move to where they can hedge against inflation for value, because when there is high inflation, keeping money is just like we are wishing that your hard-earned money
value, of course,
will kind of devalue. For that, you need to put where that can also create more wealth or appreciate for you, and that's why, because equity market also that the prices are going up and the earnings yield of this company are better than what we are seeing in the physical market. The kind of but today when the result comes, people now confirm the result, that will say that was a more trigger or front enter the market, right, or the slowdown. But I tell you, all eyes are also on the MPC meeting that's coming next week. Today we're already on the week that will usher into another MPC meeting. So that this week I expect a mixed market, profit taking, and others.
I'm going to stop you there a bit. We'll get into that, but let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, of course, we will look at this in details and how does this impact on the market and, of course, the sentiment of investors in the market. We'll be back in a moment. This is Business Breakfast.
Are you a business owner looking for the right exposure to attract massive clients to your brand? The long search is definitely over. SME Hub allows you showcase your products and services to a wide range of viewers and buyers nationwide. For further inquiries, please call Alero on 081 323 43262, or you can send an email to alero.ogudere@iBrandTV.com. Grow your brand and boost your business on SME Hub, live on iBrandTV, where business comes first.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Professional dry cleaners. Best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. For clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Glad to have you back now. Let's continue the conversation here. Mr. Ambrose Modern, Chief Research Officer, Invested Consulting Limited. He's still here with us. Yes, you were trying to look at what the numbers were expecting, especially the inflation figure. And of course, this is a pre-week to the week of MPC meeting as well, how that is likely to impact the market and, of course, investor sentiment. I think you need to finish your thought on that.
Yeah, I said because of the inflation figure we're expecting today, any moment from now, I think it should be the news wave, and if it comes that, as expected, that it crosses 16, that will also be able. But as you just said, between now and next week, we expect a mixed trend, profit-taking activities, while some also are moving to kind of move to what we call a sectoral or portfolio rotation, where you see that there's opportunity, you need to move there and wait the outcome of the MPC meeting. But still, the inflation figure today, like we discussed, that this is what will guide you where you put your fund, because you need to make a return above inflation to say you are really making money. Because if your returns are not above inflation, you are still struggling. That is why those in fixed income that they are already negative are trying to set some positions, but the longer curve of their fixed income instrument to move to the shorter one and also move to equity for them to be able to move with the trend of the inflation and to stay above inflation. For me, that's what we expect to happen. But don't forget that if you look at the chart on the screen, we're already on what we call the 5 extension. And that extension, we're already seeing that we're going to see what we call a triple top already. That means market at that time is slowing down, waiting for another trigger. If not, we'll expect what we call a pullback. And that pullback is what we call correction again. That means for investors that are really savvy at this time, it's not a time to jump into a fresh position or let this company that has good fundamental that they're likely to go. Whether we're expecting their audited account for March account, but for those that have rallied all these days, I think you should hold on to see what will play out today, because as at Friday, Thursday and Wednesday, I was just seeing a kind of what we call a side trend at that top. For me, investors should not just really take position, but rather cash out your profit now and want to see a breakout of 53,100 mark up before you can now start jumping to it. But for those that are expecting we're expecting a March account result, nothing stops you from buying, because we are in only moment from now we'll see more account results between now and June to see the audited result. And if it comes with dividend and a beat market expectation, those ones, their prices are bound to work to continue.
So let's narrow down now. Last week it was earnings was impressive, and of course some other results that were released into the market was also major factors that drove the market forward. And if you look at this week, we also pointed that the market is waiting for inflation results, right? And of course, there's also an expectation, a high expectation ahead of the MPC meeting. So you are between last week Last week it was a different ball game. This week is going to be a different game. So should we say the two major events that may drive the market, or perhaps that may drive sentiment in the week, is going to be inflation figures and, of course, the MPC meeting? Yeah,
and I'll tell you, investors are really waiting for the outcome of all this to see where they're, because the inflation will take the position where we are, and also you see this high cost of inflation, as high cost of production, which was impacted inflation, has come to stay. That means those sectors that are able to push their high cost to consumer, we expect their numbers to be maintained in uptrend. But if those that are unable to push it, they're about to see what a pullback, and if their sales are not coming to a level that they put good number, it's going to affect their price at the end of the day. But those they're able to pass their cost or high cost to consumers and they're making money, it's going to impact on their bottom line, and that means their earnings will sustain. That means if you're that kind of stock, what you do, you take your profit slowly, because I tell you, for 2-3 days we have seen the market is struggling to break out this 53,100. Once market is able to break it, and now we're seeing once you break it, a new trend, but if not, market are likely to go into what we call distribution stage. So it's
going to be a mixed market kind of.
Yes, today, especially today and for Friday. We're expecting this market because really profit taking, because we have seen market that rally for almost 19 to 20 days. Apart from on Tuesday the market pulled back last week, market has been up for almost 20 days. I tell you, they are bound to do. That's why you can see this what we call with 5 extension. Tell you that you can see the extension, you can see how long it is. That's why it's called extension. For investors, this is really giving you an insight what to do. And this is what a day chart. If you move to a weekly chart, now, you can see what the chart is saying on a weekly. On a weekly chart, it's very, very strong and positive. But because most of the traders in the market, they are weekly and they trade. They look at the daily chart. But on a weekly chart, the market is still on that with 5 extension. Then the market is really strong. But what I just said, at the daily chart, it's telling you that market is struggling to break out that 53,000 mark. Since the struggle, you need to also be very careful. And these high caps that have pushed the market to this level, if there's nothing to support their movement at this hour, they are bound to reward profit taking in that, and that will lead to a correction or pullback.
I mean, the high cap you talked about, should we also expect a bit of, volatility, or will I say negative sentiment towards the low capitalized stocks? For instance, you have the likes of Multiverse, Etana Oil, you have the like of May and Baker and some other little stock, small cap, low cap stocks like that.
During this kind of situation, we're already in a boot rally, and for these 3 days, we have seen now the what we call boot trap. To avoid boot trap, that most of the growth companies, because there is inflation now, we don't expect much from them, because high cost of them is going to affect their sales, and also positively or negatively. But look for those companies that has value, and on the other side also they are dividend paying stock. At the end of the day, dividend and capitalization will help you to stay ahead of inflation. That is where you should look at this time. Like we just mentioned, those sectors that has positive sentiment, they are bound to be the uptrend in that sector if the sentiment continue. And also check who the leaders in that sector, what are they doing, which one is the lagger, then to guide you to know exactly what to do. As mentioned, names like May and Baker. May and Baker, yes, the keyword result was not too attractive, but because of the positive sentiment in that sector, we see the price going up. But for you, as a design investor, look at the high caps in that sector, or the leaders and all, because every sector has a leader, and the reason why it's a leader, either in terms of earnings performance or in terms of price, that means this kind of stuff you should identify with at this time, especially if they are blue chips and they are dividend paying stocks.
Let's look at some of the top gainers for the week. Last week, Royal Exchange, Champion Brew, PLC, International Breweries is there, Okomoyo Palm, Mr. GlaxoSmithKline among some of the top gainers for the week. And if you look at some of the top losers for the week, Academy Press is there, Guinness, Ikeja Hotel is also there as well, Triple G and Company. If you also look at the Coverton Offshore Support Group is also there as well. But let's start from the top gainers for the week, especially top 5, Royal Exchange, Champion Brew and all of that. Do we expect these to continue the trend this week? For instance, for Royal Exchange, the change about 51.49% only in 1 week, and you have the Champion Brew PLC with about 30.84%. So if you look at this trend, do you see the same trend, or these stocks recording this positive trend this week?
Well, actually, if you look at the top trend I just mentioned, you can see this, is it called MC Nicholas, we gain about, that is the leader for the week, gain about almost 53% for the week. That stock is because of the the bonus expectation. They declare one for each bonus. That has been what is part of the market. The stock from as low as 77 kobo to the price it closed on Friday. That is the word that we go for stock like Okomu oil and stock like long flour may. I see that these are positive sentiment for Okomu because of that high demand for Okomu, knowing that what is happening globally is going to influence their performance and their numbers will keep remaining strong for all this period. That is what people are taking now, because the way it's going, if they maintain the number they posted in Q1, not stop that stock hitting 250 to 200 naira at the end of the year, unless there's something wrong and they align that the number they posted in Q1 and was not so a deviation. But if they sustain that trend, just like people are also looking forward to see the result of postcode tomorrow or next tomorrow, if it comes and also beat expectation, that will also be another trigger for the market. For the life of Flour Mill. Flour Mill is March year account, was very result to hit the market audited account. If you will come, and also don't forget that we are seeing that this acquisition with or major acquisition from Honeywell is going to kind of help Flour Mill to have expansion, take hold of the new market.
I mean, I'm just looking and one wonders. I mean, the marriage between Flour Mill and Honeywell. I mean, I'm trying to put these two marriage together as well, and how that is going to, which one is swallowing which, and what kind of restructure do we expect, especially investors who are holding position in
investors that are design nature already see that they see value in Flour Mill, because taking Honeywell as a market that goes through both the rich and the poor, have a good market, widespread in terms of market share. Coming there also with what they have in northern Nigeria, with also they have a control of the market. That was a good show for Flour Mill. On that note, people are saying that this stock is undervalued also, but we are looking forward to see the full year result of Flour Mill as at March ended 31st 2022. That is what we are looking at. If it comes and it beats expectation, that will be another trigger. But we saw a pullback this morning. That pullback is just profit taking. Don't panic if you're in that stock. Wait. But another thing is that if high cost of wheat,
there's already a pullback.
Yes, yeah. If that this high cost of wheat persist and they've not done backward integration, we might say to eat into their pot. But if they are successfully done backward integration, they are not important anything, then we'll see Flour Mill going
because of our time. Your outlook for the week.
I've started telling that it's a mistrend.
It's going to be a mistrend. All right, let's leave it there. Thank you so much, Ambrose Amodion, Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.